Well, hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to another episode of the FutureSox podcast, part of the Just Baseball Media Network. Tonight, we're going to get into Luis Robert trade, and I know you're excited about that, James. We will get into new signing here for the White Sox and the player dev staff. How you doing, James? Everything good?
All good, man. I feel like we took a week off and then a whole bunch of stuff happened.
I've kind of felt bad about that, but then, then again, I was like, it's nice to have a week off.
Yeah. We had shows on the feed.
We did.
I've been on Twitter, so,
Yeah, yes, you have. Yes, you have.
And there's been other podcasts that have talked about these things, so we can
That's
support them
true.
too.
Yeah, we've had four of our own in the middle there. So between our last and our this and tonight. So good to see everybody in chat. How you guys doing? Hope everything is good. I hope you guys are keeping warm. So I know, James, this is something that we've been talking about for a while. I was kind of skeptical that it was going to happen before the season. It has come to fruition, and the White Sox have traded Luis Robert Jr. for Luisangel Acuna and Truman
Paulie?
Paulie. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean I look, it's fine. I will say it was kind of funny, like Tuesday night, like I was like all ready for bed, and then my phone lit up and I see that it's like the group chat with you, Elijah, and Dylan. And like you know, I think you said like Robert to Mets, and I'm just like, well, now I'm gonna be up for 40 more minutes. Wonderful, right? So then we had our conversation initially. I think right away everybody's like, it's a salary dump. I guess technically, right? But like to me, I guess I feel like if it was Robert for Truman Paulie, it's a salary dump. Like you don't have to like the type of player that Luisangel Acuna is, but they got something, right? Like he could potentially be useful. The Mets ate all the money. I don't know that there was some magical deal out there that was bringing back more prospects if they were to eat $10 million. I kind of feel like if there was a better deal, they might have made it. But I also think they're lumping in whatever the savings are, right? Like we'll get to Seranthony, what is it? Seranthony Rodriguez, right? That's
Dominguez?
Dominguez. Yes, Seranthony Dominguez. I always call him by the wrong name. So in theory, they should have $10 million more to spend. We'll see if they do anything to the outfield and the starting pitching market. But yeah, I mean, I think like they gambled for a long time on this. I think the gamble clearly paid off because you got somebody to eat all the money and you got two players in return, right? The alternative would have been you eat the $2 million and you get nothing. And maybe you could have spent this money sooner on something else, but that's really the only thing. So, yeah, we can get into like Acuna, the player, and like the guy who Chris Getz thinks he is, and all that. But I think it's fine
Well, he did hit 4 home runs in
in
Venezuela
one game.
in
Yes,
one game the other
I
day.
know.
Um, and I will say, he showed off some power, and 3 of them were off of actual pitchers, and one was a position player, the last one that he hit. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I mentioned this. I did a cameo on Hot Takes and Heaters this week, and I did mention that not only did Getz avoid paying the $2 million buyout to let him walk before this year, but then they also saved the 20 million and the 2 million that they would have to pay him for the buyout for
next
2027 if they
year,
were going to
right?
do that. So, I mean, technically, you could conceivably say that he saved $24 million and got 2 players out of it. So, and like you said, I say what you want about Acuna and Paulie. Um, you know, the gamble paid off in one way or another. I mean, it's the return that you got. I don't know. Let's go into Acuna here. I mean, the offense has not done what you would hope that it would do. If you're the Mets, and they keep on signing high dollar guys. And one of them, one of the ones that they signed was Bichette, who's going to play Acuna's main position. Um, Now he's played some center field, and he appears Acuna does appear to be a pretty good center fielder. Um, so I mean, technically, you probably could have found at bats for him there if you were confident in using him to try and make a playoff push or whatever. But I don't, obviously, I don't think that they were confident enough to let him play those innings.
No, it's obviously like it's like 230 big league plate appearances. Like something that helps me is the fact that like people actually think he might be able to play center. I think it's a little awkward because he's like 5'8". These types of guys usually aren't great outfielders. Um,
Jet Williams, who everybody seems to think is the greatest thing ever. That guy is like,
yeah,
I know it says he's 5'8".
he's like my size. Yeah,
He
like
is
there's
not
yeah.
5'8".
So
He's like 5'6".
he's a short dude, short
Yeah.
king. Um, yeah, but like Acuna does do other stuff. Like Getz kind of talked about like how they think there's like a path to like being a 2-win player. Like I don't disagree with him if he has enough. Now, if he can't hit at all, then it's going to be tough, right? But I mean, if he's like a league average offensive player and steals 35 bases and plays good defense, I mean, that is like a 2-war player. It might not be like impact where you're like super excited about, you have like another flea, right? It's like him and Mydroth and Antonacci's not here yet, and like they're all kind of similar. Like, but it does seem like Acuna has some power. Like it might be 15 homer power
He
potentially
has nice bat speed.
with some,
I'll give you
yeah,
that.
like the bat speed is nice. And so we'll see, right? I don't know, like, what do you like better? Like, if he's the center fielder, or should they go get a center fielder and use him and Baldwin as like utility, like super utility type guys? Like, I don't really know, but him being able to play center helped open it up a little bit for me because I at least like when he was mentioned in season, it was like, well, they don't have a spot for this guy to play if he's infield only. So the fact that like they feel comfortable with him in the outfield, I think, okay, fine. It's just like another guy to add to your mix, basically.
My main issue here with just going out and getting a center fielder is if you look at the free agents that are out there, I'm not confident in any of those guys getting at bats and feeling good about it. At least with Acuna, you feel like there's a possibility that you get more than you than you expected. Like all these other guys that you see out there. I mean, Grichuk, more or less another platoon type guy. I'm not really too keen on any of those guys. And at least with Acuna, you get elite speed. Chris Getz said he's a two-way player with
Mm.
speed and defense. I don't know what he's thinking there, but you
Yeah, I
know,
mean, he was a hyped prospect,
yeah,
but he definitely hasn't. He didn't really do it in AAA, and he hasn't really done much of it in the majors. But again, it's so few at bats. I mean, it's just. I mean, remember, like Lenine Sosa obviously doesn't have a ton of value right now. It seems like, um,
yeah,
but he hit 20 homers in the big leagues last year, right? I mean, remember Lenine Sosa's first 230 plate appearances in the big leagues?
I do.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's just like some of these guys. I mean, like Miguel Vargas, right? Is like I don't think great, but probably a 2-win player as well. He was awful. I mean, it's
Hmm.
just, and especially when you're coming up on these like good teams where it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you some playing time, but you're like contributing to a winner. It's just so much different than, hey, buddy, here's 6 weeks in center field. Like, go figure it out on this bad baseball team. Um, so like, I don't think it's crazy. Like, if you think this guy is useful, he's not a star, but I mean, they traded Luis Robert Jr. Like, I don't like. I feel like some people weren't paying attention the last 2 years. I mean, yes, like if they traded him 4 years ago, could they have gotten a ton? Probably. Like we've talked about this, but I think like this was like gonna kind of be the return. I mean, we had heard rumors of the Reds where they're offering like close to the majors relievers for him,
Yeah.
and wanted you to eat money. I mean, I don't know really what else was out there. It does seem like my guess. I don't know. Like, who would you say? I don't think either team caved, right? And I think it was a matter of like the Mets missed on Tucker. Bellinger went back to the Yankees, and they're like, all right, let's put Robert in center. Like, do you think these players were easily hammered out? Do you think Getz was asking for more than Truman Paulie for a long time and then was like, okay, fine, we'll do the deal, eat the money. Great.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it seems like to me too.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they wanted Paulie all along because like that's a niche name right there. It's not like
Yeah.
one of their big prospects. So my guess is that they kind of had him uh, earmarked as a guy that they really wanted, and I think Acuna kind of fills a need. Um, I honestly don't think Acuna is going to see a ton of time at second base, and I saw that. Who was it? A blank name said that he heard that his glove wasn't very good last year. That was, and that I will say that was at second base. He did have some issues at second base. I don't know exactly what happened there. I just remember seeing last year quite a few times that he had rough games at second base. But it's in center field. I mean, I've seen him make some really nice plays, and um, he fills a need. And Carrie asked about we're just assuming that Braden's not going to break camp, and uh, as we usually say, seven's better than six. So
Once we get into the prospect stuff too, we can talk about that because there's some people that aren't as like. I mean, he's a top 100 lock, but there's some that are a little bit concerned about Braden Montgomery.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I had my worries last year. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't go like full on meltdown, but there was a couple times last year where I was wondering like what was going on with both him and with both of the Montgomerys actually.
Hmm.
So yeah,
So in the chat, so baseball mentions Austin Hayes. So here's my thing. I don't think like a right-handed hitter that can only face lefties like makes any sense right now for this team. And I know we kind of debated this like in our group chat with Elijah, and Elijah kind of thought it would be. And I know like Austin Hayes has history with Fuller. Like, look, if they were to sign Harrison Bader this week to like a 2-year 24 or something and be like, oh wow, like that tells you that they think that guy's gonna be like Harrison Bader's a good player. Harrison Bader could play against both. Like Harris, he had like a 120 something WRC plus last year and played great defense. Um,
I just
I
wonder if that's an outlier.
right and yeah, totally fair, right? But if it's not him, like I don't know. Like to me, it's like, do you just bring back Mike Talkman and it's and spend your money on pitching? Because I do think like as of right now, like who starts in right field against right-handed pitching? Is it
Yeah,
Brooks Baldwin? Like,
yeah.
is it Pereira? Because I assume Pereira will play against all lefties. They'll try to get him advantageous matchups, right? And they're fine with the deep. I just don't know that they have. I mean, I'm sorry, but like, I'm not banking on it being Jared Kelenic like this second. Like, okay, like, could that happen? I guess so. But is that the answer? Is that the guy? That's your right fielder on opening day against Jacob Mizurowski?
I mean, regardless of who you throw in there, he's still got to hit against Jacob
Yeah,
Mizorowski.
right.
So,
Like it's
um,
so I just don't I feel like there's at least two more moves coming. I feel like there's a better starter that moves Newcomb back to the bullpen, and I feel like there's another outfielder too. And we got a logjam of guys. Like, and I don't know if any of these guys are gonna bring back anything, right? But they're definitely not all gonna be on the White Sox because there's a ton of dudes that are out of options right now.
yeah, no, for sure. Uncle Ted, I don't think that the Rockies are going to trade Brenton Doyle. Guy's got 4 years of control
Yeah.
still.
Brenton
Like,
Doyle's
there's
really
no
good.
way. Yeah, they're not trading him. Come
Maybe
on,
for
man.
like Noah Schultz.
Yeah.
But I don't know,
Yeah, well,
like
I mean, like we keep on going over Brenton Doyle and what's his name, the pitcher, the prospect pitcher
oh,
that
for
just got
them,
bumped. Yeah, for the Rockies.
Chase Dollander.
Chase Dollander, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not trading either of
yeah,
those guys.
no,
That's the way that
yeah.
goes.
So what did you? So like they talk about. So Getz, made it seem like they've been targeting. I mean, I heard midseason from a beat writer that like if they traded with the Mets, they thought it would be Acuna that comes back. So I think this has been talked about for a while. My guess is Getz was asking for a better second piece. Um, and then
Could be.
the
Yep.
Mets came back with, look, man, like pick a different guy. We'll pay the money. Let's do this sort of thing.
Or he was asking for 3 guys,
Right. And
and they
just
said
settled
no to the piece 2,
on
you
Paulie.
know?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I think you are correct that like, that's like kind of a niche like name to ask for. Like, hey, we'll take Truman Paulie, who's thrown 4 innings,
Yeah.
you know. And I do know for a fact that the White Sox, like the area scout and that East Coast supervisor, like they turned his name in, right? Like, did they think he was worth $400,000 in round 12? I have no idea, but he was like definitely on their list. That's the other thing about that trade. I think it's a little disingenuous when people were like, "Oh, it's a throw-in who was drafted in the 12th round." Like, he hasn't pitched. I mean, he could be like all of a sudden on our midseason top 30 if he's good. Like 400K is 6th round money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like more money than the White Sox gave Brooks Baldwin, more money than they gave Mason Adams. Like, it's like kind of a fairly significant draft bonus. So, he was I think he was a redshirt sophomore out of Harvard. He's got good pitch shapes and characteristics and stuff. So we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, my guess is he's starting initially in Canny or Winston, and we'll track it and see if it's like a worthwhile addition.
So Uncle Ted says that Colorado wants to move him.
I don't
So
know. Like Colorado's done a couple of win now things. I mean,
yeah.
like I wouldn't be totally surprised if they end up moving him because they determine that they're so far away that it doesn't matter and they need to turn one guy into 5, kind of like what the Nationals just did for Gore, But I don't know if we've heard that yet.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say that Mackenzie Gore trade was pretty crazy, 5 for 1.
Yeah.
I will say though that the one of the guys that they got in return is one of my favorite names in baseball, in Abimelech Ortiz. What a
Yeah.
great name.
I thought you meant the Fitzgerald that's hyphenated.
No.
The guy that's Fitzgerald is his name.
Yes, Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
So bizarre.
Well, and it's not so who ran all the way up through the draft last year, all I heard was the Red Sox are taking Gavin Feen. The Red Sox are taking Gavin Feen.
Mm-hmm.
You know who ran the Red Sox draft? The president of baseball ops for the Washington Nationals. So, I mean, it's funny how these things come back occasionally. Like, I dug into that trade a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's Paul Taboni. He got Gavin Feen finally. So
yeah, it's weird, right? How those things work when those guys,
always.
I mean, we had the same thing with Bannister and with what I'm blanking, guy we got from the Diamondbacks. My brain is fried.
Oh, the pitcher from the Diamondbacks?
No, the executive.
Josh Barfield?
Yes, Josh Barfield. Holy cow, my brain's
all right.
fried tonight. But yeah, I mean, like we got a bunch of, Dom Fletcher and
yeah, well, right now all we're doing is getting guys from the Rays, right? Anybody that the Rays DFA, the Sox claim on waivers.
Yeah, that's oof. And I mean, I don't know. We'll see how Pereira works out. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, so somebody said, I don't know if it's not a good return for the Nats. I just think it's like far away. Like Alejandro Rosario is like, I think it's is awesome. He just needed Tommy John and didn't get it, and now he's gonna like miss 2 years because of it. Like, but he was like a top 40 prospect in baseball. So the Nationals are like, yeah, that's fine. Give us him too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't personally, we talked about this in our chat. I'm not really that high on Mackenzie Gore. I mean, like he's good, I just don't think he's going to be, an ace for years to come here.
Well, it is only 2 years of control. And I had heard something earlier in the offseason where like these teams are going to trade guys with 2 years of control because of the lockout, like uncertainty. Because like you might not be able to trade them next winter when they have 1 year left on their deal anyway. So, they're just getting rid of all these 2-year guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so,
Um,
I probably enough of that. That's fine. So, I mean, I think we've touched that. So, Robert, not going to be on the opening day roster. I kind of feel like, now it seems like they probably were never planning to have him on the opening day roster. I know you were skeptical, but only because you didn't think anybody would take him. Like it wasn't that like they didn't want to get rid of him. I just, I also just don't have any faith that he would have been healthier playing anyway. So it like does it like to me it's like this is fine. Like, you got something. He would have been on the DL anyway. You know. And they turned around and they spent some of the money right away.
yeah, I that was like one of my favorite things over the last couple of days is seeing everybody freaking out about the White Sox spending $20 million
This is like
right out
the
of the gate. And I'm like,
dumbest thing ever. Reporters are
uh,
doing it too.
oh, really? I
Yeah,
didn't see that.
Nightingale did it. Nightingale's like, "Oh, they spent the money." They did not. That is not how this works.
Well, I mean, if
Hmm.
how you look at it, if
Yeah.
2027 doesn't happen,
Well,
technically they did spend all of the money, but they would
yeah.
actually save $10 million because they wouldn't have to pay that pay that money in
I mean, don't you
2027 then.
how likely is it that Dominguez finishes the year with the team?
Oh, I think it's almost 0.
Me too.
Yeah.
If he's good,
There's
he's gone.
yeah.
100%. So, and I know like we don't have to talk about like how the Sox are going to be sellers yet. Like we're, early or whatever, late January here, but like yeah, I just like the thing that people are like, "Oh, they just turned around and spent that 20 million." The way and I only say this because like the way Jerry has always operated. That's why he does buyouts and club options and all this stuff. Like it's so that like a 1 year $10 million deal can be 7.5 million in the current year and 2.5 million next year. He's always operated this way. So we haven't seen the contract, right? I don't know if there's a signing bonus. I don't know if it's like a straight 10 and 10, whatever it is. If it's not 20 million in the first year, subtract that from 20 and they still technically have that to play with off of the Robert money. Like it's just this isn't that difficult.
Yeah, I also, they're I think they said that their payroll was expected to be somewhere between 80 and 90 million.
Yeah.
So I mean,
They
even
got they
technically
got some
after
room
that,
then, right? Yeah.
yeah, they should have a couple million bucks sitting around. Um, I know Adrian was talking about yeah, here's Talkman Savali Perez reunion collectively might cost $10 million.
Oh. Yeah. Not interested.
Yeah,
There's actually some pretty decent starters out there
there are.
to be
There
had.
are. Actually, I kind of wanted to talk about this. What are your thoughts on Arias still being out there and nobody wanting to sign them? Uh, do you think it's because he's only a singles hitter, or do you think it's because of no
Yeah, I
defense?
think it's that. I think
Yeah.
the thing is, if he was still what he used to be, but teams trusted him at second, he'd probably be signed. I think the problem is he's a singles hitter and teams think he has to play first. Um, but I did see how the Giants are like so the Giants keep getting rebuffed in trade talks. For so they were after my goodness, now I can't remember. CJ Abrams of the Nationals, which would cost a lot. They were going after Nico Horner, who would also cost a lot, to the point where like it seems like teams aren't as high on the Giants prospects as the Giants are. And now it was mentioned that they could potentially be talking to guys like Harrison Bader and Luis Arias, that they could just like go make a couple of signings like that.
Yeah. You also noticed that Framber Valdez also not signed.
Yes.
Now,
Bad teammate.
yeah, I just brought up Colton in the comment section here, but he was telling me that people are saying that Framber's not being signed because he crossed up his catcher on purpose, and I was like, yeah, that doesn't really shock me too much.
James,
Bader goes to the
did that just
Giants.
happen? Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. He should get signed by somebody,
He was
and
looking for a 3-year deal.
well, there you go.
Well, you'll know if the White Sox were in if they hurry up and just like sign somebody else here. So the other thing with Framber is I think like get or Cease got the money that he did, and then all of these guys kind of thought that they were going to get similar money and didn't. And he's got a qualifying offer attached. So I think the rumor is Baltimore, but Baltimore's like holding firm to whatever their like offer is on him.
Hmm.
So hey, he'll get signed. But yeah, I mean, he crossed up the catcher. He's like 32, I think, which doesn't help his cause. He's got a QO attached. I think there's a lot
Freshly
like
off
on him.
TJ.
Yeah.
Oh, he did not sign with the Giants.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, so they're rumored on Harrison Bader. So we'll see.
So, question from Adrian says, "Do you think if Gallon didn't have a QO, may we have been in?" I don't think. I think that's a little too rich for our
No,
blood at this point.
I think if he had, I think if he didn't have a QO, he'd probably be signed somewhere by now.
Fair enough.
Because
Somebody else would have paid him
somebody would have paid him
multiple
like 3
years.
years and 70 or something maybe, but nobody's
Yeah.
gonna because now the dork in me, like, I want him to go back to Arizona because then they don't get a comp pick for him and the Sox second round pick moves up a spot.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Arizona. That would be great.
I'd
So
like
yeah,
to
but
be
they
in
used
Arizona right now.
yeah. I know it would be great, wouldn't it? So they used
Yeah.
some of the money on Dominguez. Probably going to be the Sox closer. It's too many walks, but he throws fuzz. Like I think that's fine. I think what it does to Leisure and Taylor and some of the other guys in your bullpen is quite helpful if you know that there's like a guy basically to pitch your highest leverage spot. Like you could have Taylor come in and throw 2 innings. The other thing I hope, if they get a starter that we kind of like, I mean, even if it's like Griffin Canning, who I know you kind of like, um, that moves Newcomb into a pen roll, which I think makes the offseason even better. I know Jeff Passan was tweeting like, "Oh, the Sox have had a great offseason." Like, okay, well, like I'm not gonna go that far, but I like the move. I like that the moves make sense. Like the things that the White Sox have done kind of make sense a little bit, which is good.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it's gone about as well as I would have expected it to. I didn't expect any huge free agents, and we had said that we wanted some back end bullpen help, and to, as they say, shorten the game. You know, looks like I would think that Dominguez would be that guy. He would provide some stability to the back end of the bullpen to allow Taylor to get, possibly get some more innings to hopefully stretch him out a little bit more so they feel a little bit more comfortable with moving him back to the rotation, I would hope. Um, and then also not leaning on Leisure, you know, trying to get him to be a closer when maybe he's not comfortable doing that. I mean, we all know that it takes a specific mindset to be that closer guy, and maybe he's just not that guy.
Right. Yeah, and not ask him to. I mean, like, how many leads did they blow last year? And this year, like, you'd like to, look, it's not. It doesn't have to be perfect, right? I don't know that either of us think this team's like a real contender. But it would be nice to win if you're up 3-2 occasionally, Like you bring a guy in and everybody kind of holds. So yeah, I don't know. I think they might be done in the bullpen other than NRIs, but I do feel like another starter's coming.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, we'll see. There's definitely going to be some more signings. I mean,
There's a lot
what
of
was
guys
that?
free.
We had like 73 guys come to camp, 2 years ago? And then last year
Yes.
was pretty close to that as well,
Yeah, and they
you
just
know?
like keep signing players that like people don't know. What is it like? They signed Tyson Ross, I think our guy Adrian said, like,
Yep.
and nobody had noticed. Like no, nobody on the beat noticed. We didn't notice. Like it's
Well,
just one of
yeah,
those.
I think it was like, I feel like the White Sox keep on doing like all these smaller signings and like they just don't get reported anywhere.
Yeah,
I don't know, like maybe just a little bit more communication, just a
yeah,
little bit,
yeah. Well,
you know, not waiting until, 2 weeks before pitchers and catchers show up to announce your manager in AAA and
yeah,
all
exactly.
this stuff.
Well,
Like,
they
come
just
on,
said
guys.
too. What like Mark Gonzalez reported on Darren Baker. Like, remember when Darren Baker was used as a human shield for his father, like when the Cubs lost in the playoffs and he got him up on his lap so the reporters wouldn't be too mean to him, I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's just a kid. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, and he was also, that play at home plate where he had to get scooped up, that
Yeah.
hilarious. Um, Jerry told me Jared Kelenic is the next Ted Williams. I don't know, nobody's going that far. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
in 2018, possibly
I mean,
somebody
he
was
could
saying that.
potentially make the team, especially if they don't add anybody else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Got a whole pile of NRI outfielders. There's like a whole bunch of guys.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta get somebody to play in the outfield because I mean, I'd say it's fairly apparent that nobody wants Benintendi in left field.
No. No, it seems like not. But if he's your DH, then you can't play two catchers at the same time. That's going to open up another problem for us. So that we can kind of figure out later. But I think I
Yeah.
joked with you, like we were talking about the savings. Like, how funny would it be if they used the savings to DFA Andrew Benintendi? That would be hilarious. They won't do it. I mean, they obviously spent some of it already, but that would have been hilarious.
That would have been probably my favorite thing had they done that.
Yeah, you just cut him, and you're like, all right, that was the Robert savings.
I mean, could you imagine? Yeah, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Let's see. Adrian says signing came the same day as the international signing, so it just kind of went under the radar. That makes sense.
Hmm. Okay. I
Yeah.
definitely didn't know it. He was bad in AAA last year. I'm not really expecting much, but you know, another arm. They also signed like a giant Kansas City lefty too that throws really hard.
Yep.
So
I don't
we'll have a whole
remember
bunch of.
names.
No, me neither. We'll have a whole list of NRIs when they actually. It should be this week. It's usually in advance of or like prior to SoxFest, which is next
Yeah.
weekend.
I know that I've seen a list somewhere that had a bunch of the NRI guys
Yeah.
on there. I just don't remember where I saw it, so I
Yeah.
didn't bring it up.
And it's fine. And Dominguez hasn't been announced yet, so they do need to make a 40-man move, which 40-man moves are a little bit more interesting right now. There's not as much excess. I mean, there are guys like Brian Hudson, and you could try to like get Jairo Iriarte through, but he does have options. Tyler Gilbert is out of options. So look, there's some names, right? But my guess it'll be pitcher for pitcher.
That's my guess as well. I kind of think it's going to be Hudson.
Yeah, makes sense.
And it's one of those things you didn't really get to. We hardly know him, but you need to make a spot, and if you feel that that's gonna probably your best option there, I would think. I mean, it's like all the other guys are just like recent trade candidate, like recent trade guys that we got back,
Yeah.
or guys that we just picked up with who they're probably not gonna let go. Although you never know. Like sometimes they do that thing where they pick some guy up and then just let him walk right away.
Right away. Well, because sometimes I feel like they pick up a guy on waivers, but then they hope that they can get him through waivers themselves,
True.
to get him off the 40-man, and then somebody else claims him. And then these guys are just in DFA limbo or whatever, like all season, the whole time. I think somebody was talking about Marco Luciano. I think he's on his 15 this offseason.
Yeah, there's I know that we had somebody let him go and he just got claimed and I can't remember who it was,
Ryan
but
Rollison was like
yeah,
that.
that's
I
who
know
it was.
that.
Ryan
Yeah.
Rollison, yeah.
The Cubs claimed him.
Yeah.
And then
James
the Cubs
Hesterman.
and then the Cubs also brought back who's their infielder that we had? Ben
Yes.
Cowles.
Yes, Ben Cowles went back to the Cubs. I kind of laughed at that one. James Hesterman says Ramos not long to exist.
Probably not.
I wouldn't imagine.
I mean, so Brian Ramos, Meade, Sosa, Acuna, they're all out of options. Corey Lee is out of options. So there will be some spots freed up here at some point because some of these guys just won't be on the team. One of the interesting things based off of that I kind of heard the last couple of days, like it doesn't seem like Sosa has much of a trade market, which I guess isn't totally surprising. But one of the guys who people have called on is Miguel Vargas. I don't really see them trading Miguel Vargas, but I guess like crazier things have happened. Like if you get something that you like better, like especially if you think your new shortstop is coming via the 26 draft and Montgomery's moving anyway. I don't know. I'd be surprised if they traded Vargas, but I was just
Yeah, are you gonna do it that far ahead in
no,
advance?
probably not.
Exactly.
You'd
Yeah.
have to you'd have to believe that Sosa could like play third or one of these guys could play third to do it.
I've seen
Like
Sosa at third.
yeah,
That's
yeah, it's
you don't want that.
yeah, it's not great. It's going to be tough. So, but yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. I doubt they trade Miguel Vargas. I think he's their third baseman.
Yeah, I don't
But
think
it's
so either.
interesting that some teams have like called on him, I think.
Well, I mean, you could also put Muna at third base.
Oh
That is
boy.
his natural position.
Oh boy. You know what's funny?
Yeah.
I like keep forgetting that they have him.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere, and it's kind of found money. So we'll see what we get out of it. I'm excited. Guardedly, I'm excited, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a thing. Is why are we dying to trade Sosa so badly? I mean, the guy's bat has been really good. I
Yeah.
just think the lack of base running awareness, the lack of a definite defensive position that he's got, a special skill set at is probably why. That's my
Right.
guess.
Yeah, and like I just like don't know when he's gonna play, right? So like opening day, if your outfield is full, like is Benintendi your DH, then Sosa's on the bench, right? Like if Sosa's in left, then Sosa could DH, but then one of your catchers is sitting. So I just don't know, right? Like, are you content with him just being like a bench guy that's gonna come in and pinch hit against lefties and do some other things? Like maybe, I guess, but I just don't know. Like I feel like he's probably expendable.
I feel like we've got way too this our 40-man roster and definitely our 26-man roster are way too complicated for the lack of talent that we have.
Yes.
I feel like, you know, trying to figure out how to shuffle around deck chairs on the Titanic. It's not necessarily that the guys that we have don't have any talent. It's just that there's no standout talent there, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. It's
And we've got like, and even if they each one might have their own specific skill set, I feel like we have three or four of the same guy for every position. And it's not that all of them have like baseball value. It's just not enough value that you want to move off of one of them to give the other one that, those at bats, because I guess at this point it's just like, who do you have more invested in? Who do
right.
you have more faith in? And that's like where you're going to go.
Right. And I could hear the argument like for even playing Sosa over my Droth at second. If you like the power, but I just don't think they're interested in something like that. Like I feel like they view my Droth as part of their core and they don't feel similarly about Sosa.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, there's definitely a lot more awareness on the bait, in between in between the chalk lines. There's definitely more awareness from my Droth, whether it be base running, whether it be fielding the ball, throwing the baseball. Like, I just feel more confident in him in those areas. But yeah, you are going to miss out on some power. That's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, so those were what? Those were the additions this week. There's some there's prospect news just with like rankings that have come out. They did make a bunch of international signings. So, we could go a couple different directions if people want.
Well, let's go to the let's get the international thing, and let's just knock that one out because it's not a super long topic.
It's not that long, and we've talked about all the players kind of already.
Yeah.
So, like two big signings at the top that people kind of probably know by now, like two Venezuelan bats. One of them, Fernando Gratterall. He got $1.5 million. Some of the better raw power of any catcher, like in the 2026 class. He's Venezuelan. like all these write ups are crazy, right? It's like could produce 20 homers in the future, 6'1", 185. He should stay behind the plate. Keller talked about how he's a catcher by trade, but more athletic than most. He runs a 6'8", 60 with plus bat speed. So, and then like their second guy that basically was like one of the top guys is Sebastian Romero, 6'2" center fielder that hits lefty. He's also like 1.5 million. I would say like the two most significant things probably about those guys is they are holdovers, meaning that they were part of like a Marco Patti class that were signed at the top of this class. And then it does seem like there were some additions that like Keller and his crew like kind of added to the mix. Um, I went on the Aju with Beefloaf on Monday and kind of talked about some of these guys, and I think like one of the big takeaways for me under Keller was just that they would be far more focused on up the middle athletes finally. And then I do think pitching is like a market inefficiency in this marketplace. Kind of, it's cheaper than other areas, and I do think that's something that they've taken somewhat seriously. That they added a couple in past years. They added a couple last year too. This year, Dominican right-hander Roderick Ramirez. Um, he's people think he's going to throw like high 90s. He got $400,000, which is probably about market rate in the international market. These guys sign late. 6'3", 205 pounds, which is significant. These guys aren't usually that big. So he's already thrown a fastball up to 96, so a chance for triple digits there. And then the other pitcher that people have kind of talked about, where like Francis Romero listed as a sleeper, Frankel Crisostomo, 350K. Yes, I know,
Chrysostomo.
crazy. He's more like what typically gets signed in this marketplace because he's like 6'3", and like I think he's like 155 pounds or something like that, which is like really thin, obviously. So
It's kind of how they all come over
yeah,
for the
they're like
first time.
all yeah. And then I think like maybe the most interesting thing, and like there's like a full class here. I think it's nine Dominicans, 7 Venezuelans, and then a Mexican player and somebody from Colombia. The last thing maybe that we'll talk about is, so there was one more name that I found interesting, was Felix LeBron. And I found it interesting because he was like listed as a sleeper for Badler and for Jesse Borak at MLB Pipeline. And then Keller kind of brought him up too. So for him, they kind of they it's a quick burst athlete, 6', 175 with plus speed, a plus arm, good hands and body control. He's signed for like not much money, like 300,000, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
Um, and Jesse Borak talked to a scout who called him a late bloomer, and one of the most buzzworthy additions to their class. And like he was getting comps to like Noel V. Marte, basically. Like this is what Noel V. Marte looked like at the time, like a picturesque right-handed swing with really good speed. He might not, stay at short, but one evaluator like said that he could be a long-term answer at third base for the White Sox, which look like when you hear stuff like that about 16-year-olds, it's like you kind of just like roll your eyes or whatever. But so this will definitely be one of the guys that I'm paying attention to, like when the DSL season starts, just to see if, because I will say, like, lots of times the sleeper guy, like I remember when Christian Mano was a sleeper, he was pretty good. Javier Mogollon was one of these guys, and he's not bad. So generally, when these guys are listed as sleepers, they are one of the better players in the class.
Yeah.
What that means, we'll see. Keller said, I think Felix LeBron is a sleeper. Very, very good athlete. He's a plus athlete. 6'6", 60. He's got bat speed that's 78 miles per hour. It's a guy, when we talk about the principles of scouting, body dimension, agility tools, all that stuff. Good makeup. So yeah, that's, I think Felix LeBron is probably the most interesting guy of the group because this group actually signed him.
I'm just waiting for box score hunting so I can see which guys on the team hit 380, with
With like a
eight,
590
nine.
OBP. Yeah.
Yeah, with like 8, 9 home runs and a bunch of walks and not many strikeouts. Because those are usually the guys who end up in the ACL and usually the guys that you end up seeing actual in minor league baseball.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the way I look at this whole international thing. Because it's like I know that most, like 95% of those guys are never even going to make it to Kannapolis. So
Yeah, no,
it's
most of
like
them don't. Yeah.
it's rough.
I do think it's better though that they're finally it seems like you're signing center fielders, shortstops, and pitchers. There were so many of those Marco Patti classes where I mean if you want more on this, like go listen to Beef's pod. I like really get into this more, but like it's just guys that are just gonna end up at first and then they just don't hit enough and then they don't even make it like through Canny. It's just so many of these classes were like that. It's like, sign 20 guys and have like 7 or 8 pitchers and everybody else play center or shortstop and maybe just maybe you'll start filtering some of these guys through your system and then you can go AJ Preller and just trade all of them to like get stuff that you need even if like they don't graduate for you.
So Chris Proctor brings up this thing. What about the guy who the Yankees lost next year? Is best in the class. Do the Sox have a chance at him?
For
Now,
next year, I think the Mariners signed him today actually.
oh, did they? Okay.
Mayron something or another. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Yankees are doing some weird stuff.
Yeah. I kind of wonder what's going on here. Um, Whether they're kind of just reneging on the offer,
It sounds like
you
it
know?
because they don't have a
Uh,
director right now.
yeah, that whole thing's kind of been weird over
But
there. I don't.
generally, like you keep your commitments. I mean, we're seeing it with David Keller, right? Like the Sox hired Keller, and he still kept all these Patty commitments. That's why their first real class isn't even until next year, really. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Like what the Yankees are doing is a little bit strange. It is, it's the reason why the White Sox were able to reach agreement with Braston Basker,
Yeah.
the middle schooler that they signed a
Is
couple
that
months
the
ago that we've talked to.
Padres? Didn't we get him from the Padres?
No, Yankees.
Oh, it
So
was
it's like
Yankees.
he was committed with the Yankees in 2030. Um, and yeah, so I mean, it's just affecting all these Yankee classes basically.
I feel like we got somebody from the Padres.
Yeah,
Who'd we
that's
get from?
this Roderick
Okay, that's
Ramirez,
who that
this
was.
this
Gotcha.
pitcher in this class. So the Padres let him go back to market. Which
That little
sounds
piggy.
yeah, exactly. Sounds like he's like a hog, like being bought by a farmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like my guess is the Padres were overcommitted, or something, whatever. And then this is what happened. But I don't know. So it's the White Sox benefit. But yeah, the Yankees, they don't have an international director, and they've missed out on a bunch of guys basically because of it.
Well, I mean, we already know that they've got the best international prospect to ever exist in the
Yeah.
international
Well,
market.
they're saving up. Yeah, they have to save $400 million for Jason Dominguez, like you sent me
Yes,
today.
Albert Macias or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, that guy. That's
Yeah,
who. Yeah, so that guy is supposedly the same class as Basker.
yeah, that
So
tracks, I
maybe
guess,
that's why
right?
they let Basker go because they're signing this other guy that's better.
Because he is the best
Yeah.
international prospect to ever international
Well, but
prospect.
he looks like Braston Basker's father.
That's true. He does look
He's
like
a
he
big
is a
boy.
30-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, and I know that Uncle Ted's probably got skin in this game here. Jason Dominguez asking for $400 million next contract.
I saw
That
that.
right there is something.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
what that's all about.
yeah, kind of
Craziness.
crazy. But yeah, so
Um,
there's like 2 articles on the site, I believe, about the international market. I did like a preview with some of these guys. And then I wrote up the class too, so that's on the website if anybody wants to read it.
there you go. I should put that in the description on the YouTube video. That would make life easy. So let's go ahead and move to the dev staff stuff. Your thoughts on a Chad Pinder going from A ball to triple A?
Yeah.
That's to me, that's kind of crazy.
It's a big
Uh,
jump.
yeah, pretty big jump. And then you have a former White Sox guy, Jason Nix, taking over an A ball, and now Quiroz has gone from the Barons, moved back to Advanced A, Winston-Salem, and then they moved Pat Leland up to Double-A.
Yeah, and they kept the coaches in Charlotte the same, other than Pinder. So they must like they must have liked the job that Chad Pinder did last year, and they just they made the Jason Nix hire in Kannapolis. So yeah, I mean, look, this is like in the image of Paul Yanish basically gets to do whatever he wants and hire the people that he wants. It seems so. I thought that was like these were kind of interesting. Some of the other hires were like a little bit interesting. I think. They we kind of talked about how they moved on from Aaron, like that was in there I saw. So, I don't know. No like huge takeaways. Like most guys stayed in their current roles. Did you see that they hired Zach McAllister as a pitching consultant? So,
Consultant, I did not.
yeah, so he will be so that's his first job post playing career. Um And then like Sherman Johnson, we knew about as the new hitting coordinator. Ryan Newman stays in his role. Um, the new catching coordinator is Ross Steedley, so Julio Mosquera no longer with the org.
True.
They added a lower level pitching coordinator. So basically, like your pitching coordinator is Zaleski still. Kurt Hassler is his assistant, and then they hired Hiram Burgos as a lower level pitching coordinator. So maybe
I
I don't
thought
know.
Burgos isn't Burgos DSL?
So maybe that's considered.
I thought
So
that's
maybe
where his
that's
job was.
considered lower level
Yeah.
would be there. So
I thought
yeah,
that I'm almost positive that's where it is. Yeah, Darius Day moved on from Kannapolis as well.
yeah. And then did you? So I don't know if you remember the name. So they hired J.C. Sanner. He was like a pitching coach. I think that was at like a JUCO, maybe like a Florida JUCO. And
Yeah,
he's
that sounds right.
yeah, so he's gonna be the pitching coach in the DSL, which is fascinating to me.
Hmm.
Yes.
I want to bring up that Xavier Fernandez is the bench coach for the
Yeah, for Canny,
Cannonballers.
right?
That's awesome.
Charlie Romero there.
Yeah. I mean, Xavier Fernandez hit like 400 plus for like 2 straight months, and then the season ended, and then he didn't get picked up by anybody. It had to have been because of defensive position. That's gotta
Yeah.
be the only reason why, because that dude could hit a baseball.
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah.
So is Darius Day gone or did he move up?
I think he went and he started his own like pitching academy type deal, and he
Okay.
coaches guys now
Yeah.
on the side.
Yeah, so cuz the Canny staff then has Rob Hardy, who I believe is also new. He's the pitching coach there.
Yeah.
With Jason Nix there. Tyler Coolbaugh left the complex to be the bench coach in Winston-Salem. Elijah did an interview with Adam Cinco. He's the new hitting coach for
Yep.
Winston-Salem. And then Jacob Doris moves up from Kannapolis to Winston-Salem as well. The Birmingham staff is, Pat Leland in Birmingham. And then Aaron Bray, another new hitting coach. So it does seem like, since Bannister was here already and some of these like pitching moves have been done, Fuller didn't get a ton of hitting moves last year. It seems like that came this year with a bunch of hires on the hitting side.
Yeah. Yeah, I find this pretty interesting. There's a lot of shuffling going on. I mean, I always kind of the way that they've moved their managers around
Yeah,
hasn't really surprised me all that much. But I mean, just the changing out of the additional coaches
for
is
sure.
kind of crazy. And as Kerry brought up, and this is something that I also went kind of fishing for, is that she mentions that she hasn't heard anything about Sergio at all. And I haven't heard about him being picked up anywhere either. I don't know what the heck's going on. And like all the affiliates for all these teams are having all their vacancies pretty much taken up. And if I haven't seen one word about him in social media
I
whatsoever.
know. I wonder what he's like going to end up doing. Like I thought
I
he'd
mean,
get snatched up and go do,
yeah, he won a championship and then they sent him to the graveyard of Charlotte
Yeah,
to manage that team there, and then they let him walk. I'm not entirely sure what the heck's going on.
right. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Um, how do we? Let's see. What else did we know? How do we think Chad Pinder's going to be with call up videos on Twitter?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I imagine he's a I don't know, he's a pretty awesome guy from the videos that I've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah, it seems cool.
So I can only imagine that that it'll be a lot of fun.
Did
It's
you see the stuff where he's like, "Yeah, I live in Charlotte. It's pretty awesome." Like, it's
yeah,
like,
pretty good deal for
like,
him.
yeah, great deal, buddy. Like, that's
Yeah,
great. So we did kind of mention, Erin Santana was with the org for a long time. Her title was like manager of like international player development education. Essentially, it was like a big
yeah.
long title. She was mostly at the complex, like helping with like higher education for a lot of these like the Latin players and stuff. And they definitely, they moved on from her. They hired Haley Poole. And Paul Yanish said that her aspiration to take on a new challenge, number one, her background in education, some of the things that she's dealt with from an organizational standpoint, leading people, I guess, like she was with Texas before. So I wonder if there was like some relationship with Will Venable there. Um, so, it's basically the same type of job, but she's doing things with like the American players too, it sounds like. So, um, like Latin players and with some of the adversity they have to deal with coming to the US for the first time and then adjust from coming from the DR to Arizona and from Arizona to Kannapolis essentially is like part of the job, but it's a simplified title, I guess. Um, where now she's just called education coordinator.
Hmm. All right.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised that Santana moved on
Yeah, they
when that
liked her.
whole
I
thing
mean, I guess
happened.
it might just be a matter of like they're just kind of hiring all their own people.
Yeah. So do you want to move on to the top 100s that just got
Yeah,
dropped?
we can get into a little bit of that. I mean, we knew we went over the Baseball America top 30 already.
Yeah.
Um, so what are your takeaways? I think those five, the big five, right? I think are going to be on top 100 lists everywhere in varying spots, right? Um, we got our guy onto the BA list though.
Yes. It's about ding dang time. Obviously, Tanner being number 100 on the top 100 for BA is awesome. Um, One of the things that I find particularly odd, and I mean, I guess not, it's not that crazy because usually prospect evaluators have their own guys that they champion, but I find it pretty bizarre that Montgomery's at 35 on the MLB pipeline and Bonner's all the way down at 73.
Yeah.
I feel like, I guess to me, it seems like it's a little weird that they think that Bonner's that far down.
Yeah, so BA is like really high on him, and some of that is Jeff Ponce. For anybody that hasn't listened, listen to the CHGO podcast with Sean Anderson where he has Jeff Ponce on. It's like his most recent one, I think. Like we had Jeff on too, like maybe 2 months ago now. Like he thinks there's a chance like Caleb Bonnemer's a top 20 prospect in baseball like this year, right? And look, I think we're gonna need to see it at double. Um, but I think he's definitely top 50. And I don't know. Like at this point, to me, it's tough to argue Braden over him. Um, Pipeline did it though. So now I will say, like Jeff Ponce also said that he would have Bonnemer as the clear number one prospect in the system. And essentially, like Bill Mitchell's ranking is what has Schultz above him at BA. I'm fine with Schultz being that high. We've kind of talked about it. Like, I think a lot of it was due to injuries. I think Schultz is going to shove this year and it's going to be fine. But I do think if you're talking about best position player prospect in the system, I mean, dude, right now it looks like, I mean, Caleb Bonnemer's like on a rocket ship. So Um, yeah, I mean,
Does appear that
69,
way.
61 seems a little low. I think we're going to have Jim Callis on at some point. We can ask him about it. I know Callis wasn't huge on Bonhomer coming out of high school, which is
Yeah.
fine, but he, had a great first season in the system.
Yeah, I mean, like, was it Keith Law that was worried about the White Sox not being able to work through his swing issues that Keith thought that he had. Things look like they turned out all right.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy who Jeff Ponce thinks like early 27, which is crazy for a high school guy that was picked where he was. So that's pretty fascinating. I do think there are some worries about Braden with the strikeout rate, and even Ponce said like, I mean, even if he's not, like a superstar, I mean, it's still walks and homers. Like it's still a middle of the order bat, right? Like even if Braden Montgomery is like a 250 hitter, I mean, it's 30 home run potential, right, in right field, which you take, and it's going to be pretty good defense with like a 70 or 80 grade throwing arm. So, yeah, both good prospects, but I think at this point it looks like, Bonhomer's probably the top guy in the system. And then there's a lot of stuff out there on Billy Carlson too, because he's like Carlson's really tough to rank because the defense is so good that he belongs on the list, but nobody knows if he can hit, right? But on the other hand, if he does hit, he's also going to be top 50 like really soon because of how good his
Yeah.
defense is.
Yeah, if he can hit at all,
He's going to
he's going to
rock it
shoot up the system. Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
I guess probably one of my other my other big takeaway would be is that Hagen Smith has dropped like a rock.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I could really blame them for doing that, on their list, but I mean,
But yeah,
it's been a rough year.
so I do think though, like Ponce was like in that podcast, Ponce was talking about how he talked to scouts and they were impressed with Hagen, like in the AFL at least. Like they think he got it figured out. I think what happened was like when we were freaking out about Hagen Smith, everybody else was too. And he was basically going to be off lists. Like he wasn't going to be on lists at all.
Yep.
And then people saw the playoff starts and the AFL stuff, and they're like, okay, put him in like the 80s or whatever, just to like hedge our bets and like be safe. I mean, Hagen Smith comes out and shoves, like he'll move up the rankings, but he also might just be in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I just
that's
don't think
entirely
they're gonna
possible.
waste their time. You know what I mean? Like and that's one of the things that I'm curious to see. All these guys, Schultz, Smith. I think we know where Tanner's gonna be. Braden, like where are they? Are all these guys in the high minors, right? Because like I won't be stunned if we're talking about Caleb Bonhomer and Christian Opper like in Birmingham, and you and I are like, oh boy, that's aggressive, but like it is kind of what it is.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with the assignments here. I'm kind of interested, I mean, it's obviously we still got another couple months before we actually find out, but
Yeah, but I think
yeah.
stuff will start leaking out with like what games like guys are playing in, right? Where you'll see, like who's playing and on what team, and that sort of thing. Like,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah,
obviously, like what 2 weeks into spring training, they also get sent back to minor league camp,
for
like,
sure. Yeah,
that first initial crop.
yeah. And
So th
well, Ponce. So they did a different. I don't know if it was on the Sean Anderson pod or if it was the Baseball America one where Ponce talked about Tanner McDougal. Um, but he was talking about how Tanner was way higher for him. So I think their system is similar to ours, but they have way more guys doing it. So if you like, if somebody has like Tanner McDougal at 65, like he's going to be on the list type of thing. So it
yeah,
doesn't seem like it's universal because obviously Pipeline doesn't have Tanner on the list, but BA
right.
does. And he'll just rise from this point because, I mean, even if he goes to Charlotte and makes 5 or 6 starts, I mean, 7 or 8 guys will come off the list right away. He'll move up. And, when he makes his big league debut, he might be like the 85th ranked prospect in baseball or something. And, it doesn't really matter. Right. But so that's interesting. And then it does seem like Antonacci and Opper are both in the like 101 to 140-ish range, right? Where you got two more guys that could be on. And then who knows with Jaden Fauske. So, that's like there's like 9 names in the system that could get top 100 consideration at places.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens here in spring training. We'll see which one of these guys. I don't think any of them are probably going to make their major league debut in Milwaukee. But give it a couple weeks, month. We could see a couple of these guys in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if like something happens to a starter. Like, is it Tanner? Is it Duncan David instead, just to be safe? Like, I mean, I feel like Tanner's getting a lot of run in the big leagues.
I c- if if it's Davitt, I'm not
He's
gonna
on
be
the
thrilled.
40. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
those are
great.
the next 2 guys though, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's like those 2 guys are starters 6 and 7 because you're
yeah,
not going to have Adams, you're not going to have Bush, like all these guys, it's going to be a little bit. So,
yeah. I mean, I guess
4
it could be one of those things where
Mhm.
you know they're like, well, he's still got this to work on. He's still got the Rickon boxes to check.
Mhm.
Before he makes his major league debut. Maybe they
Right.
think that he needs more work on his changeup or
Yeah.
whatever before he does it or whatever. But
Yeah. I don't know. Somebody, what are these before we get out of here? Kevin said, so where would you rank this team in terms of system? I think they're going to be like somewhere in the 11 to 20 range most places. I think the top of the system's pretty good, but as we've talked about, like I think 10 through 20 is like not great, which keeps them middle of the pack. They really need a couple of like guys to pop, um, and then you add a immediate top 15 prospect in baseball to your system in July is kind of helpful too.
yeah, I think that's going to be really big. But I mean, I think you're also going to have a bunch of graduations before then of
Yes.
guys popping off the list by July, or at least one or two. How about that? At least one or
Yeah, like
two
I think
guys
like
moving.
Tanner and Montgomery could both be off, or either of the pitchers potentially. So
No, Ted, I don't think that Truman Paulie makes this system number one.
I love it.
It's close though.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe in top five
I
for
don't even
sure.
know that he'll be in our 30s. Any of us? Will any of us rank him in the top 30? He threw 4 innings last year.
I don't think so. I find him to be intriguing,
Yes.
but I don't know. I guess I'll have to go through and take a look. I mean, we got the preseason top 30 coming up. We're gonna have to figure that out at some point. When does that come out? March?
We usually do March. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm campaigning to move that back just because of the
because of the Rule 5 guys.
because of the Rule 5 guys.
I'm
It
gonna do
makes
it
it
in
way too
April.
difficult.
Yeah.
Um yeah, so I mean, I guess we'll just I don't know, we can open it up to chat. I mean, we said that this was going to be a longer episode, so um
Yeah,
I
we
had at
finished
least
though. Yeah.
another 20 minutes or so that I was planning on being here, but we didn't go like super in depth on the top 100 stuff, which is fine. I mean, it's only, you know, 6 or 7 guys.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so I mean, but
6 guys.
what else are we waiting on? I don't know if like Fangraphs did theirs. The Just Baseball one is not out. I do think Tanner will be on in multiple places.
Yeah.
I
I
think Opper's going to be on the Fangraphs list
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because they ranked him
100%.
4 in the system.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be on that one.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all. And hearing Aram talk about Opper and McDougal and having Elijah over there, maybe we got a little bit of inside juice over there to get some
Right,
of our guys
exactly.
finally on that list.
Well, and the thing is, like, if they do start Opper in Birmingham and he's good, he's going to be on the list really quick.
Yeah. Um this is solid stuff here from Blank says
Believe in Truman.
believe
Yeah.
in Truman. Um So, James, there are two Rule 5 guys, Paez and, what is it? Abraham Alberto, not
I think it's
Albertus.
Alexander Alberto.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Alexander Alberto.
Yeah, so
I
I
see. Now I'm
yeah,
drafting the wrong guy.
but I still think Paez is the most likely to make the team
Yeah.
because I think
Uh,
they just, like, think he has more upside and they'll, like, try to hide him and
hmm.
keep him. And he's like, he could be their long guy.
Yeah. I mean, how crazy they want to get with it and let him take some spot starts as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible, but I mean, again, we're talking. Both of those guys have only pitched at high A, so
Right, exactly. I know, it's
it's
crazy.
going to be an adventure.
What do you think about this one from Perch? Who has the best stuff out of Hagen, Schultz, and Opper?
Hmm.
Stuff only, I mean, at full form, I think it's
I,
probably Hagen, but, like, it's 2 pitches. Like,
yeah, and I don't know. Opper hit 102 this year,
yeah.
and he's got some nasty stuff as well. Uh, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Noah's more like a collection of above average pitches and a plus slider, but he's like 6'10" and like impossible to hit.
And a crazy arm slot as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's like so many different variables there. I don't know if I could go specifically off of stuff. I mean, I would,
Can I choose McDougal?
yeah. Let's all choose McDougal.
I mean, because
Um,
his stuff is disgusting.
yeah, that curveball, man. Uh, Robert asks, "Is there any hope for Sammy Zavala turning things around?" I
I
think
think
that he
so.
has started turning things around. He had a much better second half of the season last year, and it looked like things were kind of moving in the right direction. So I hope so.
I do think it's going to be important for him to stay in center field.
He can play center field.
I know, right?
There's
Yeah,
no doubt there.
because then
Just whether or not
the
they
bat
let him.
doesn't have to be as good as it does to like carry him in a corner.
Yeah, I mean, unless they move him because somebody else is playing center, I think that's the
Right,
only reason
exactly.
that he's not playing center
Yeah, I could
field.
see that too. Wolf
Um,
asked, "Is Shane Murphy in the org?" He is. I think he'll be in the Charlotte rotation.
yep, that's my guess as well.
Jacob Thome making an appearance here. How strict is MLB on the 60-day? I mean, yeah, they could. I mean, they could make up an injury for Paez, but the thing is, he's got to do 90 days in the big leagues.
you do that, that's gonna totally backfire.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you would do a 60-day, but I wouldn't be surprised, if it's like, oh, his hamstring hurts and he's going on the like 10-day or whatever as like a way to like send him down because they only have to do 90 days active. I mean, they were doing it last year with Shane. I mean, they basically told Shane Smith he was hurt last year. They're like, Shane, your ankle hurts. You sprained it on the warning track when you were running. You just didn't know.
Yeah,
You're at
Chris
you're
mentioned
at your innings limit.
this is something right here. If you have McDougal, Hagen, Noah, and Opera all in the 27-28 rotation,
Yeah, it'd be nice, huh?
yeah, I mean if that happens, I mean you're basically getting rid of all the guys that are more or less there right now, except for one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Hagen. I mean, I think their plan would be to have Smith, Schultz, and McDougal in the 27 rotation. And we'll see what happens with like some of these other guys that are here. Like, is Anthony K gone? Is Davis Martin gone to make room? And then I think like if Opper is, potentially like a top 75 prospect in baseball, that's like maybe your best pitching prospect at the time. I think 27 for him, opening day 27 for him probably isn't realistic, but who knows? Like, pitching guys, like if he's good, like they just come up.
Yeah. So I got a couple ones here that I want to address. Uncle Ted asks if Noah's ever worked with Randy Johnson. To my knowledge, no. As far as I know, they've never talked.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
and
Better
this one,
stuff, Truman Paulie or Truman Capote? Probably Truman
uh,
Paulie.
yeah, I would think. But, Capote's probably better with words.
Yeah.
So here's a question, and this is Robert Hartwig asks, can Sean Burke close? And so this is something that I think I've mentioned before, but there was something going on with Burke with his pitch grips last
Yeah.
year, and he was having some problems. And after he fixed that, he got better as the
A lot
season
better.
moved along.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the last month of the season, he looked pretty stinking good. Um,
So I think he's in the rotation.
yeah, I
But
think
look,
so
if
for
all these
next year.
guys
Yeah.
push him out of the rotation, like, yeah, like at that point, like you have to decide whether you move him to the bullpen or whether you use him in a trade to get something. If you think you have five guys better than him, I think him and Cannon are like two different stories. I think, right? Like I think Burke has stuff and he's going to get a lot of chances. Cannon basically has to be perfect to stay in the rotation. Um, but I mean, look, both of those guys look like they have a shot right now. Like until they add another pitcher here at some point.
Yep. So our buddy Danny Miller asks, what are the chances we see Schweitzer in the pen this year? Entirely possible. I know he is going to Major League Camp, so I mean, sky's the limit, I suppose. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
and they haven't really decided to move him necessarily like into a full-time bullpen role. He was doing like the piggyback thing. But I mean, yeah, if he were a short inning reliever, I mean his stuff's gonna play up big time.
yeah, and I know I know his fastball's ticked up a hair as well in his training in the offseason this year. So
Yeah.
maybe we see something extra and interesting coming up here. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Jamie asked if Martin is potentially the biggest midseason trade chip if he pitches well. That's interesting because it's a lot of years of control. Um, I mean, I feel like if they think the best case scenario happens, like Shane Smith is probably a pretty good too. Like where you could decide, like, hey, would we like some other guys better? And I mean, you could trade Shane Smith right now. That would be dumb, but like, there's lots of teams that would like that. So yeah, I don't know. There's that. I mean, if Prelander Baroa comes back healthy, he's the type of guy who I thought like people might be a little bit interested in. Now, I mean, Dominguez, right, is on your team. So yeah, I mean, the pitching staff's going to be a little bit interesting, like as it evolves, like throughout the season.
yeah, things have taken a nice turn here in the last month. I feel like things are kind of looking up a little bit more
Yeah,
for the
interesting.
actual MLB club.
For sure. James Schultz, yes, is a Boris guy. Correct.
Yep. Yeah, I was just waiting for.
Cannon and Burke both have minor league options. That was something yes, Uncle Ted, they paid $20 million for a closer. Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still paying we're
yeah,
still paying $1 million a year for our last closer
I know. It's crazy, right?
for the next
Amy
15
asked about a
years.
SoxFest thing. Maybe we'll mention it at the very end before we sign off.
Yeah.
Could we see Acuna at second and Pereira in center field? I mean,
Yeah.
my thing with Acuna is like my guess is we see him everywhere. I like if you made me guess right now, I think he's the opening day center fielder. But yeah, I mean, if he plays some at second, some at short, he's played third before, center, each corner. Yeah, I think that's possible. Um,
As I mentioned about the 26 man and the 40 man just being ridiculous because we have to sit here and try and figure out who's going to play where, and all of them are kind of on a level playing field here. I feel the same way about utility guys, you
yeah,
know.
man.
It's just you can slot any of the I mean, and I know that that's like something that Chris Getz really like is having options and versatility. But man, can we just get some guy to play one spot
Yeah.
for like the entire season? Like I'd be totally on board with that.
Well, I think I saw somebody mention today on Twitter or X that they'd like to see Brooks Baldwin like primarily in one spot. But my thing with Brooks is like I kind of think he needs to be able to play everywhere. The new
Oh,
Layuri.
yeah.
Yes. Have you seen this talk? So Meeks brought up Justin Verlander. I know the Sox Machine podcast brought up like signing Verlander and Scherzer just for the vibes because it would be hilarious, you know.
What we
But
have just $80 million
yeah,
falling out of our pockets
yeah,
right now.
that's a like they're both kind of bad now. I mean, like Scherzer was pretty good in the playoffs. My
Yeah.
thing is like now, if you're Max Scherzer, I would just sit the first half of the season and be like, which contender wants to let me pitch in the playoffs?
I could see that, but also just from what we've seen from guys that have been because of the qualifying offer, they've been sitting out for an extra couple of months.
Yeah, those guys usually suck. That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is that most of the time I feel like those guys end up having a really terrible season that year.
Yeah,
So is that really, you know,
I know.
I don't know.
James says not looking good for the man down under. Yeah, like I just I don't know where Curtis Mead's gonna play. I mean, is he like the backup first baseman? I just but they did trade for him. I mean, I guess you could justify like if he's not very good, just like DFAing him because you did get Davitt and Peoples out of that deal, and you like both of those guys, so it's like not a total wash. Um, but I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Curtis Mead's in kind of a tough spot. He's out of options too.
What does one do with a combat wombat? I guess we're gonna find out.
I mean, if they DFA'd him, do you think somebody claims him immediately and plays him? I just don't know.
I no. To answer that question, no, I do not. I
Yeah.
think you could 100% get him through to Charlotte, unless maybe Tampa decides to pick him up. Maybe. I doubt
Ooh,
that.
Jamie, come on, man. I don't know. Let me think about it. If I had to trade one of the top 9 prospects, who am I moving?
Whose list?
Right. Well, the top 9's all kind of similar.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd probably trade Antonacci.
Yeah. I could see that. I could see that being the guy. I mean, I guess you're also like the problem with making that decision in a vacuum is that you don't know what you're getting back.
Right.
That makes it
Exactly.
tough.
Yeah, like can I trade Hagen Smith straight up for like JJ
Oh,
Weatherholt? I'll do that.
man, look at these answers coming through. Billy Carlson, Bonnemer.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Well, you knew. I
It's
mean,
a tough room.
Bonnemer hits right-handed.
He is a
So
right-handed hitter,
Uncle
so
Ted, you know.
Ted's gonna launch
So
him.
here's
Fair
so
enough.
here is the Billy Carlson thing. I love Billy Carlson. But in a world where Colson Montgomery is good and like Rock Chalowski is a top 5 prospect in baseball entering 2027. And Rock Chalowski is your shortstop by May 15th of 2027. Yeah, I know. And
Oof.
Billy Carlson is not the high end of what he could be, but pretty good. Top, whatever, 60-ish prospect in baseball. Still probably at like Winston-Salem or Birmingham. He's probably the biggest trade piece. Because Billy Carlson to me isn't somebody who like you bring up and like play him at second or somewhere else. Like I feel like so much of his value is the fact that he's like an awesome shortstop that he just becomes like a trade piece at that moment. Like with Bonnemer, I feel like the bat is good. Like you could just play Bonnemer in left and he could like help your team. I don't know that Billy Carlson's that guy. I feel like Billy Carlson has to play shortstop. So maybe he's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I'm gonna throw this out here. Now, with we talk about Rock Chalowski, and we talk about him being the starting shortstop in May of 2027. I just want to throw out the name Travis Bazzana
Yep.
and just say
Still not up.
maybe we want to hold off on that right out of the gate. Just saying. Travis Bazzana has not seen the major leagues yet, and he's pretty good.
He is pretty good.
At
Rock's
least
better,
we
though.
thought he was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. But
Yeah.
we have seen JJ Weatherholt's pretty close,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I just think my point is that Rock is gonna jump Carlson, in my opinion.
I kind of think so with that
Because
bat.
because he'll just be there. Like, is even like if Billy Carlson spends most of this year at Kannapolis and finishes at Winston, you add, I mean, like Rock Chalowski could go straight to Winston. Like he could beat him to Winston-Salem in theory, right? Like Carlson could be the shortstop at Kannapolis when we draft Rock Chalowski. And then Chalowski goes right to Winston-Salem
Yeah.
and potentially finishes the year in AA.
Have Lodis
Right. Yeah.
and Chalowski in the same infield.
Yeah, exactly.
Assuming that Lodis doesn't move up
Right.
also.
So I did see there's some Matthew Boughton, like, so he snuck onto the 30 at BA. Giannis was talking about him. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see him. It's a weird profile. He's like an older high school guy, but if he's as good of a defender and as fast as they're saying, like,
Yeah.
he's definitely a prospect. I just don't know if he can hit, like, at all.
Yeah. There's a couple of guys that you just wonder about the bat. We have to see how that bat plays out. I mean, even like Carlson, if he hits at all, his stock goes up. I would say probably the same thing for Boughton as well with the really loud other tools that he has.
Yeah. Perch, I don't think I'm sleeping on Grady Emerson. He's awesome. He's going to be a great Tampa Bay Ray. I just, yeah, I mean, the ceiling has to be so high for me to do that instead that it's just, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I'd say probably the only way that rock doesn't happen is you're looking at a shredded knee, a shredded shoulder, or chronic back issues popping up out of nowhere. I'd say like that's pretty much the only way that rock's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty, yeah, I mean, they got a whole season to play and we'll see, right? But Grady Emerson's awesome.
Yep.
Landon Hodge should be in Arizona, probably.
Yeah, that's my guess. Be in the ACL. Be nice to be able to make our way down to Arizona at some point and actually get eyes on these guys before they go to Kannapolis.
I think I might be going for 2 days.
When? When do you think?
In March.
Spring training?
Yeah.
Nice.
I think 13th, 14th, 15th is what I'm thinking.
Nice. That would be cool.
Yeah.
All righty.
Well, I think we're done.
I think so too. We hit the hour and a half mark. It is a extended version of the Future Sox podcast. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thanks for keeping the chat moving. Lots and lots of talk. We appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and walk us out here, James.
Right on.
You have been watching / listening to the Future Sox podcast, part of the Just Baseball Media Network. If you are listening to this in podcast form, know that you can find us every Sunday night at 8 p.m. on YouTube and the Purple app. You can also find this podcast along with all of our written content at FutureSox.net. If you're looking for White Sox prospect highlights, you can find them on X at FutureSox and now also here on our YouTube channel. If you love the content and want to support us here at Future Sox, there is a link to our Patreon in our channel description and at FutureSox.net. You can also find our merch in the store on our YouTube channel. There are some new t-shirts and a sweatshirt there if you guys are interested. T-shirts are cheap. I made the t-shirts cheap on purpose. So if you want one, go ahead and grab one. They are super comfortable and the logo looks great. You can also toss up a super chat on our YouTube stream. Also, don't forget to like this stream and subscribe with notifications so you know when we're going live while helping us in the World Wide Web algorithms. James, before we hop off here, I just wanted to mention that Seattle beat the Rams in the last second thing. I don't know if anybody's. Yeah, there's still 66 people here. Um, so I did not ask you during the actual Future Sox podcast part of it, I guess. What were your thoughts with what happened last week? Just out of
Uh,
curiosity.
I was okay with it. Um, thought it was a game that like the Bears should have probably won because the Rams were like dying for them to win it. But um, yeah, I think I always thought that the Bears were like a year early and it was like kind of like a bonus year. But it's also like if you get there, it's sacred type of thing. So I actually like didn't even really feel that bad. Like I like the next morning I was fine.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that, like, I think about when I think about football, and like when I hear the they're a year too early thing, or a year earlier than you thought. Like, I just when I think about that, I think that football is like a completely different animal because you don't know who's going to have an
Yeah, it's just like
ACL
yeah, right. It just like
ACL that
starts
year.
over because there's injuries and stuff. Like
Yeah,
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 for sure.
yeah. I found it was. I thought there was a pretty crazy game actually. Um, did you happen to watch that Patriots Broncos game today?
I did bad.
What did you think about that game being uh, decided with that weather going on
I know.
and none of the kickers being able
I
to hit
know.
a
I'm
kick?
big on like not doing cold weather games. Like I just like want the talent on the field to decide outcomes of games instead of like having the weather play a huge factor, but I know people disagree because they like watching snow games on TV, but
It was fun. I
yeah.
I will agree with that,
But
but I'm
having
with
that
you.
decide
Yeah,
things
yeah,
sucks.
yeah. I thought that was
And
pretty
now it
rough.
seems like Seattle's probably the overwhelming favorite, I would think, in 2 weeks. So,
Yeah, that would make sense to me. Um, your thoughts on Caleb Williams versus Drake May?
I think they're both good. I'm fine having Caleb.
Yeah,
I would have taken Caleb over Drake May, but I would have taken Drake May over everybody. Like the thing that surprised me was Jaden Daniels being good. I thought Caleb and May were like 1 and 1A, like both would have been number 1 picks most years.
yeah,
And then the fact that like Daniels was better than both of them, I was like kind of surprised. And this year I think it evened out a little bit.
yeah. I thought that was kind of luck, personally.
Yeah, so yeah, I think they're both pretty good. I mean, Drake May wasn't very good today, but again, like
Well,
like they played in the snow. Yeah, I mean, the Patriots didn't suffer long enough. Let me tell you, it
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
was like a
Yeah,
couple of years of like, oh my god, we're bad, and then now they're back awesome because they have a quarterback.
yeah. I kind of, I was always personally a May guy over Caleb.
Yeah, I think which is
And
fair. Yeah, he was
yeah, I
awesome in
mean,
college.
whatever. It was like, between picking an apple and an orange,
Well,
it's
and he's from
neither
North
one's wrong.
Carolina. Like you know.
Yeah, well, yeah. Uh, I just, like, that was just the guy that I like the pocket presence a lot better, and Caleb, he
Yeah.
moves a lot
Yeah.
better, obviously, but May's not bad.
I saw today too on Twitter that there's this is like extra bonus time. It's fun. Um that there are 5 colleges that have produced a Super Bowl winning quarterback and a president of the United States.
Oh, who's
And
that?
if I don't know, I saw it earlier.
Oh, okay.
There's like yeah, like one of them Stanford,
Yeah, that makes sense.
um there
Elway.
yeah, and there was like a president from whatever. But North Carolina would be the 6th if Drake May does it because I think Polk was from North
Oh,
Carolina.
Polk.
Yeah, James K. Polk and
Yeah,
May.
all
So
right.
there would be then it would be 6.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. I saw it. Maybe I could
Huh.
find the tweet.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. That's pretty cool. Danny says he thought Nix was going to be the best quarterback in that class.
Yeah, I mean Nix is fine. He was like good enough to get his team to the semis and then he got hurt.
Yeah, so yeah. What do you think about Mendoza's younger brother transferring out already?
Yeah, I think he probably knows that. I mean, I think Indiana's got another kid out of the portal. So
Yeah, from TCU.
yeah, okay, so that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Michigan, University of Michigan's one. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Michigan is one. Yeah, Gerald Ford and Brady.
Oh,
Yeah.
you know what? We never talked about the 108 thing or
Oh
Sox
yeah.
Fest
I
either.
don't know
So
if are we allowed to talk about it?
about which one?
The SoxFest thing. Beef was like, "Hey, don't say anything about that." It was kind of
Yeah,
weird.
I mean, I don't really know. How about this? I'll
We'll
say
we'll be there
I have
Saturday.
no idea because I have no idea because I have zero information on it.
I
So
got
I
nothing.
how do I know that I'm not supposed to talk about it if I
Yeah,
have zero information?
true. We will be there.
Yes,
Come say hello. You'll see. You know, two old guys sitting with Elijah Evans. So that's us. So
and maybe Dylan as well.
yeah, right. So we'll stick out like a sore thumb. But yeah, I don't know. You may see some of us Friday. Well, I guess the fans aren't allowed to go Friday, so that doesn't really matter. But so Saturday, yes, we will be there, and then we'll be over at Reggie's after closing down the place.
Yep, yep. We did you get your tickets yet for it?
Today I did, yeah.
I know Danny will be there. We talked about that before. I know James Hesterman will be at Sox Fest at least. So if you guys happen to be there, you'll see us wandering around. Don't be shy. Say hello. Are you good, James? Now that we have that extra bonus time for a few minutes. All right.
How
My
many
name is Ian.
people? I wonder how many people
What?
are gonna. I wonder how many people are gonna turn it off and miss that whole thing.
Oh, I mean, probably. I mean, like there's still still a good amount of people in here. So,
All right.
my name is Ian Eskridge at Daily White Sox. He is James Fox at James Fox 917. We appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for listening. Thanks for coming and hanging in the chat. If you are at SoxFest, like we said, please come say hello. And we will catch you guys next week post SoxFest. So you guys have a great week. Hopefully we see you at SoxFest. Have a great one. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.